Hello everybody and welcome to the Redmen TV. It is the Starting 11 prediction show. Liverpool taking on Bournemouth in the Premier League. Top of the table, Liverpool Football Club. I am here as I am every single week to predict the starting 11 for this game. The one that Jurgen Klopp will pick. Spoilers, I'm going to be dead boring on this. But when we get into the comments for anyone watching live, then we will talk about other players that people want to see. So I'm going to start with the goalkeeper. And in net, I think it's going to be Alisson Becker. 1 game suspension for Alisson. Comes straight back in between the sticks. I'm going to go that it's Andrew Robertson at left back. Virgil van Dijk and Degsy Lovren in the centre of defence. And to round it off, Trent Alexander-Arnold at right back. We'll bring in maybe Joe Gomez a little bit later and we'll talk about whether he should play right back or centre back, or maybe there's a change at left back. I want to do that a little bit later on though. I'm going to go slightly different in the middle of the park. I know that Jordan Henderson played the 6 last weekend. I know that Jordan Henderson, when he came on against Everton in the derby, the one that we won 5-2, only yesterday, came on and Gini Wijnaldum moved to left of centre. I'm going to suggest that he actually goes in at the 6. Naby Keita plays the left-hand side of the middle. And Jordan Henderson plays the right in the 8. Now, for me, Jordan Henderson's a good 6, Wijnaldum's a good 6, interchangeable, whatever. But Keita's really a left-sided centre midfielder. And that's where I've seen him, or we've seen him over on the left wing. So I'm going to play, because I want to play Keita, I'm going to say that it's Wijnaldum there and Henderson there. Now, we'll talk about Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain and variations and stuff. Maybe people want to see him in the starting 11. Let me know if you do a little bit later. And then the front 3, I think it's going to be Sadio Mane. I think it's going to be Mo Salah, apologies. And I think it's going to be Roberto Firmino, like that. So that's the starting 11 for me. Alisson in nets. Trent, Lovren, Van Dijk, Robertson, Wijnaldum with Henderson and Keita, Mane, Salah and Firmino. The front 3 in the normal positions. I'm going to bring in some of the subs. Adrian, I think he's going to be a substitute, so we'll pop him up there. Adam Lallana, after a really good game against Everton. James Milner, little Xherdan Shaqiri, big Alex Ox, big Joe, big Div. Now, on the Uncensored Match build-up show, is it out now? Is it out yet, the build-up show?
No, not yet.
It'll be a little bit out later on. It'll be out a little bit later on. We talk a lot about these players on air, and obviously on the Final Word show on the redmentv.com, we talk in depth and detail about the Everton game. So does anybody want me to discuss any of the centre-halves or anything like that first? Does anyone think Joe Gomez should go in there?
There's no centre-half, but in terms of the defence, Reece Owen says, when do we rest Robbo?
It could be this game. We talked about this on the build-up show, I think. And one of the options to do that is actually put James Milner in there. Another option might be to put someone like a Joe Gomez in there. We've not seen that for a very, very long time, have we, Joe, really playing left-back? But I think, you know, we should absolutely be thinking about resting Andrew Robertson. And it could well be this game. I think, you know, we took Trent off against Everton and we put Joe in. So maybe Trent's going to be starting this game. We got him like 20 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, something like that, back midweek. So maybe that does mean that James Milner's going to start left back. Is it going to be 2 games in a week for James Milner? Or is he going to want him to be fresh for that game against Salzburg away from home on the 10th of December? So yeah, I think James Milner's a really interesting shout there, actually. Robertson to have a little bit of a break. I'm sure people are going to want to talk about the midfield. So I'm going to bring 3 players in now. I've got Adam Lallana, I've got Jimmy Milner, and I've got Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain.
So Patrick Olive, talking about that, just basically says he wants to see Ox, Hendo, Wijnaldum. Most of the midfields that I've seen, Chris, have Wijnaldum in them. That's quite interesting. It
is interesting, isn't it? But he's such a fucking brilliant player that you know what you're going to get with Wijnaldum, and you know whether he's playing one of the 8s, the left-sided one, or he's playing the 6, he's going to give you absolutely everything that he's got. And he seems to be a bit of a machine. He plays so many minutes. He played so many minutes last season. And this is the midfield, I think, that started against Brighton. And this midfield was brilliant, wasn't it? So maybe it's the other way around, though. Maybe it's Wijnaldum that gets rested and it's Naby Keita. Because really, he should be coming back in. And maybe I'm wrong in my original starting 11. Maybe I'm thinking, instead of trying to get Keita a game, maybe he should be getting Ox back into this side, because we saw what he does. He's just so good, and he's just so different to everything else we've got in the middle of the park, isn't he? That maybe it's Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain that comes in, and if it is, then maybe it is Wijnaldum. But just with Klopp saying in his manager interview after the game against Everton that he wanted to play Naby Keita because of the form that he's in, that's why I thought, as soon as I saw that, I was like, all right, well, let's get Naby in. He didn't make 6 changes in the derby. This is Bournemouth. They're in bad form. They've lost the last 4 games. Maybe it's time for Naby Keita, and that's why I think I came up with this, because I wanted Naby to start, and I'm not sure whether he'd do something like that with a Hendo or a Wijnaldum in the 6, with a Naby or an Ox. I'm not sure he'd go that gung-ho in the middle of the park, which, if he's going to play Keita, I think he has to do that. Although, at some point, I think we probably prefer to see Fabinho in there. But if you could imagine that that's Fabinho, then that would be a lovely looking midfield 3, wouldn't it? Another guy that I think probably deserves to get a start after his performance midweek is Divock Origi. In fact, there's 2 guys there that I'm going to talk about right now. The first guy is Shaqiri, and the second guy is Origi. I mean, we know that was the front 3 that vanquished Barcelona at Anfield. It was also the front 3 that vanquished Everton at Anfield. And it's a front 3 that seems to work really well together. And there was a little bit of a different shape last night, wasn't there? It's probably a little bit more like that, with Lallana sort of the most advanced player. And it worked really well. And you know, when we discussed it, in fact, I'll put it in there now. It was more Wijnaldum and Jimmy Milner. That was sort of what we saw last night, wasn't it? From a midfield and an attacking point of view. And a really interesting point by Adam Rowe on the final word, actually, is that it worked with the 10, because you didn't have Bobby up there in the 9. And, you know, Bobby's natural inclination is to drop back, but Divock was playing on the shoulder. And Everton made it really easy for us. So the 10 worked really well. I can't imagine that Bournemouth are going to be doing that. I know they like to play expressive football. I know they like to play fluid football and passing football, possession football. But they're also in a bit of a rut at the moment. And I just feel like with you know, top of the table coming to town, probably the best sides in European football at the moment, the champions of Europe, maybe they do look to curb their enthusiasm a touch. And as such, I think, you know, Bobby coming back, picking the ball up, spraying it and all that type of stuff means that this isn't quite the game for Origi, certainly not in a central position, which probably lends me to believe that it is going to be that sort of midfield 3 that I mentioned, or certainly the system back to the 4-3-3. Ginger Carey, though, is a lad who put in a shift. 90 minutes, I haven't played about 20 minutes all season long. It just means for me, although I was really impressed, and I've had you know, some bad words to say, not bad words, I just didn't know what all the fuss was about. Well, he shut me up with his performance against Everton, and that's great. I want to be shut up by performances of Liverpool players, because it means that they're playing really well, and I'm not asked for being wrong about anything in my life. Everybody's wrong at some point. I just happen to be wrong more than most people, and it all happens to be caught on camera. Anyway, it is what it is. Mane, though, could be due for a rest. Could it be Origi playing over there? Could we actually see Keita? Actually, that's a shout, you know. I don't like it. But, tell you what, if you want to get Naby Keita into the side, maybe it's time to give Mane a rest. Maybe that's the guy that we need to give a rest to. Do you reckon, Tom?
I mean,
it's a terrible...
Ox on the left, maybe?
Ox on the left?
And you put Gini in the 6, Hendo on the right, Keita on the left as well. It's not very... defensively solid on that left-hand side, but...
But so what? We're about winning 3 points. We're not asked about conceding goals anymore. That's the Liverpool of last season. We're asked about winning 3 points, and we're asked about scoring goals. I've got no idea what my original side was. I think it was something along the lines of that, wasn't it?
I remember you saying.
It was what?
I think I remember you saying it was boring.
It is boring. That was definitely it. I think. So yeah, I mean, that's really all the iterations. Have we got any other comments that anyone wants to talk about?
Not really. You kind of talked through all of them that I was going to say, and basically answered everything pretty well. I think there was a few people saying Salah maybe centre forward. I think that means you might need to change formation. There was a few people saying 4-2-3-1 looked good, but again, you spoke through that. A lot of people saying they wanted to see, Maria says, definitely want to see Ox start, and I think we should rest Salah again. He hasn't been in great form lately, and it can only help his recovery.
I completely agree with you. When we do a whole section on Salah and whether he should be rested or not in the build-up show for this game, that'll be out later. I don't want to trample over anything that I've already said that you just might not have seen yet. But I do completely agree. And I think I was probably the only person that did. The other 3 people on the show with me disagreed. Fine, that's their prerogative. I personally would be resting Mo Salah though, and I won't talk through the reasons, but I do agree. If Mo was to be rested though, we didn't talk about this, what would happen? What would happen? See, this is the issue. If Mo's rested, Shaqiri comes in, doesn't he? And I don't think, having just played 90 minutes, he plays again. I really don't. Maybe that's your Keita, your Ox on the left-hand side, your Rigi on the left-hand side, and maybe you just bring Mane over there. Maybe it's Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. I'm not sure. But Klopp uses these players in so many different ways and situations and formations and positions that you're never really sure. It's like piecing bits together that you've seen. Like my midfield's a perfect example. I know he always likes to play him there. I know when he plays in the 8, he always likes to play him there. So that's why that's why I picked Wijnaldum in the 6. Now, if Salah's not there, is Mane just going across? Is it Ox? What does that mean for the midfield 3? So it's very hard to guess. And listen, this is why managers are struggling, aren't they, who go up against Jurgen Klopp, because he knows his players better than anybody. He knows where he's going to play players. Who thought we were going to see Lallana in the 10, essentially, last night in the derby? I, for one, certainly didn't. Even when the team sheet came out, I didn't think I'd see him in the 10. And, you know, we're people who watch every single minute of every single Liverpool game, and we don't know what he's going to do. What's the manager going to be able to do? Who's going up against him. Really difficult stuff. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me. Absolute pleasure. As always, don't forget to smash that like button. Smash it. Smash it now. Subscribe to the Redmen TV. We'll see you next time. Ta-ra.